shockingly enough, chat, I've told you guys the story. TLDR, oh, I love my mother. I had a conversation with my mom the other day that I just find so funny. Let me tell you a little fun fact on my mom, right? I talked to her recently, and my mom was like, Michi, I feel like you've changed. I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, yeah, you know, okay, context. This is not a burden for me. This genuinely makes me very, very happy. But I do take care of my family, right? Like, my family's well-being is something I fund, basically. And it's not something that they asked me to do. That has always been like a dream of mine ever since I was younger. Okay, abaya. Like, as a daughter, like the pride of a daughter, right? That's where my daughter pride comes from. Because I'm like, now that I'm older, I can take care of you and you can live like a more comfortable life. And that makes me happy. They know this. My mom told me, she's like, I feel like you've changed. And I feel like I'm a burden now. What? Where did that Jenny come from, dude?
That's the princess training in her shaman mafia princess lore. Arga.
We're just gonna start adding random fucking jobs in there. We're just gonna add titles in there, right? At first it was shaman. Then you add mafia. Now you're adding princess. Oh, you'll never believe the next word you're gonna add, dude. But I've always wanted to take care of my family. That's something I've always dreamt about. And chat, you guys have made it possible for me to do something that I've basically always wanted. And I'll always be grateful for it. Recently, my mom was like, I feel like I'm being a burden. Like, what? What do you mean by that? That makes no sense. Because I never said anything.
Glad I got a chance to see your passion. I sent you a DM. Please don't interrupt your whimsy and take your time.
Mr. Lesage! I mean, one day you'll see me yap about fashion forever. I'll check your DM bit then. So my mom was like, yeah, I feel like you don't want to, you know, like, I feel like I'm a burden because we are taking your money. And I sit there and I was like, Mom, don't ever feel like I'm so serious. Like, I locked in. I was like, Mom, never ever. If anyone said anything, if you were talking to someone and they plant seeds in your head to think this, never trust them, okay? This is something I genuinely want to do willingly, not because you asked me. This is something that makes me happy. I want you to be okay. Chat, to compare, right? My mom has really, really bad rheumatoid arthritis, I think, RA. It's a autoimmune disease that affects her joints. It's to the point that back then she couldn't go downstairs, she couldn't jump, she couldn't run. Like, it is bad. And she has other health conditions too, along with my family. Ever since then, like, now she gets proper treatment. You know, she has like muscle training. She has like a proper person to help her. She's starting to pick up on music, which is something she's always wanted to do, but she's never been able to do it. So she's starting to pick up on music again. She's starting to like get stuff for herself. Like, she's dressing herself nice, you know, feeling confident about herself, right? Yeah, like it's like physiotherapy somewhat. And not even just health related, it's like mental related, you know? Like, she can dye her hair and get her hair done. And same with my dad, because my dad has really bad, like a eczema condition. It's one of those. Like, it makes me happy. So I'm like, never let anyone tell you otherwise. This is something I really want you to do. And I'm happy when you're happy. And my mom was like, no, but like, I feel like you've changed and I don't want to be a burden. And I'm like, what makes you say that? And mom's like, you know, like, maybe you want to use the money on yourself. You know, like, maybe you want to start using the money on yourself more. And I'm like, Mother, I have everything I've ever wanted. Like, I am happy. I am living the best life right now. Like, I am happy. I'm not over here being like, oh, chat, you know what I really want? I want like 5 billion maids. Like, I don't need much to survive, bro. I got a bed, I got a water dispenser, and I got my tea, and I got a functioning PC. What more can I ask? Like, I'm chilling, dude. And I got a cat. Like, I'm very much fine. I was like, no, but like, you could get more things. Like, you could buy more things. And I'm like, I don't want to buy more things. And mom's like, no, but think about it. And I was like, yeah, what makes you think I want to do that? Like, what makes you think I'm the kind of person that's gonna be like, oh, you know what? Instead of paying for my mom's health care, I am going to buy a car. Like, what? And my mom hits me with the, no, but people can change. You know, there are people, right? There are people in the world that are so like frugal, is it? Or like picky. Like, they don't like spending money on other people. They only want to be like royal to themselves. There are people like that in the world. Like, they're only royal to themselves and not royal for anybody else. And I literally sat there and I word per word, I responded with, yes, there are people that kill other people. Doesn't mean I am that.
I noticed food wasn't in that list. Stare.
I have a fridge and a spider in my cereal box. Okay, I'll get more food.
Your mother used to pretend not to have money because she thought you would end them for an inheritance. Maybe now she is worried you will end them to save your own money. Arga, glad they're getting a chance to enjoy their later years.
Genuinely, my mom said, like, there are people that are royal to themselves, but like not royal to others. And I'm literally like, yes, mother, there are also people out there that likes to kill other people for fun. Does not mean that is who I am. Like, am I getting my point across here? Why would you think just because, yeah, some people like that exist, but like I'm not like that? And mom was like, no, but what if you are? What am I supposed, like, dead ass chat? What would you do when they hit you with the, hey, I know you're probably not like that, but what if you are? It's like, well, I don't fucking know. Run the computer, run the simulation. Like, is this rage bait? It might be rage bait. Back then, did you know, chat? Back then, my mom would tell me that either I do not have an inheritance, unprompted, mind you. I have never, in my culture, and I think in a lot of other cultures, it is very, very, very rude to ask about your inheritance to your very much alive parents. If your parents are healthy and alive and you go like, Mom, what's my inheritance? That's rude as fuck. Like, disrespectful, because you are hinting on, like, you're trying to wait until the day they're dead, right? I have never in my life asked about inheritance money. None of that. My mom unprompted would be like, by the way, you don't have inheritance. And I'm like, cool. She was like, no, like, I'm serious. You don't have inheritance. And I'm like, I don't care. It's fine. At that time, chat, we were butt fuck broke. Okay, it's like, mother, slow down. Don't even talk about inheritance, bitch. Like, we don't even got a fucking savings. Like, we don't even have a goddamn bed frame. Calm your ass, all right? Focus on the things that matter. Why are you talking about, oh, by the way, Michi, you don't have inheritance. Well, clearly, mom, we have a fucking fan and a carpet on the floor. Like, relax. So I'm like, I don't care about it. And my mom would be like, a couple years later, she's gonna be like, by the way, if I die, right? If you do hypothetically have this magical inheritance, when I die, it'll go to your dad. If your dad's dead, it'll go to me. If we're both dead, it'll go to your great, great, great aunt that you've never met in your life. And I'm like, okay, I never asked. I never asked about this. And I don't care. I would always respond with, mother, I would rather you be alive. That's all I've ever responded. And eventually, one day, my mom asked, it's like, she said, by the way, I low-key lied about the inheritance thing. Like, you know, like we have money saved up in case. The reason I've always tried lying to you ever since you're a kid is because I watched a movie where the kids decided to plot the murders of their parents. Yep, just follow me on this. She watched a movie where the kids plotted the murder of their parents to get inheritance money. And that made my mom go, aha, that's my child. And I sat there, I was like, Mom, you think I'm capable of killing you? Like, you genuinely thought that I would sit here and would rather you die to get money? He's like, you'll never know. You don't know what people think. I just don't want you to, like, start thinking about it. Me, the person that feels bad killing chickens and thus avoid eating chickens. She saw me. At that time, I was a vegan. Okay? Like, maybe a pescatarian. At that time, chat, I was a vegan. And she sat there and she was like, nah, she has the potential to kill me. I can't even kill a
That's
chicken,
fair.
dude.
You are part of the mafia after all, MHM.
No, brother. That's the thing, right? If I had a coin for every time someone told me that they like, not even as a joke, they genuinely looked at me and thought that I could kill them, I'd have 3 coins, which isn't a lot, but it's crazy. Something about my face, I guess, makes them think that I have the potential to kill. Nah, dude. If you hurt me, I will cry. I'm not even gonna be mad. If you hurt my feelings, I'd probably cry. And I want you to know you probably ruined my day. But that's okay, because I'll cheer up tomorrow. Just like, don't do it again, please. That's it. Like, I'm a pussy. I'm a crybaby, dude. I don't do anything. How bad is your... I don't think I have a resting bitch face. I look like I'm confused. My face, it looks like I'm lost. Face of a killer. So I was like, I don't know. So that's my mom. My mom literally was like, yeah, there are people that are royal to themselves and not to others. And maybe that's you. It's like, maybe... have an opinion of me from your experience of me and not an assumption you made up because you watched a podcast one time. Thoughts on that? I want you to know, by the way, ever since I started working, right? And this is not as a Michi. Like, ever since I was in fashion chat, I will always pay for my parents' food.
Michi,
I have never once not paid.
As a chat, we sometimes wonder why you are like this. I hope this does not come across as disrespectful, but with every story you tell about your family, you make more and more sense.
Now, what do you mean by that? Go on. What do you mean by that, chat? What do you mean? No, like, back then, chat, when I started having my office job and I was earning, like, ass nothing, if my parents invite me for dinner, I will pay for the bill, right? Even though I don't have that much money, I will always pay for the bill when I hang out with my family. That's the least I can do, is my mentality. I've been doing this for years. And somehow my mom's like, yeah, maybe you're royal to yourself and not to others. It's like, when I literally was only eating soup water, like I eat ice on water every day, I would still pay for our meals because I care about you. You think that I'm the type of person that's royal to myself and not others. Am I insane for thinking of how ridiculous that is? Like, you're joking. You're rage baiting me. You are actually rage baiting me, brother. When